I'm actually going to open the hearing on House Bill 1258 with a briefing from Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Tracy Taylor, staff of the committee. Under House Bill 1258, certain counties are required, if they're operating a regional 911 emergency communication systems and collect the 911 excise tax on phone lines, to transfer a portion of that excise tax revenues to local governments that operate a municipal 911 emergency communication system if the county transfers emergency calls to that local government for dispatch. By way of background, there is a state and a county 911 emergency services excise tax. Counties are authorized to impose a county 911 excise tax on the use of switch access lines, radio access lines, and interconnected voice over internet protocol service lines in the amount of up to 70 cents per month for each line. The tax must be uniform for each line, and the tax imposed must be deposited in the county 911 excise tax account. Under House Bill 1258 focuses on the county 911 excise tax. Under this bill, if a county located east of the crest of the Cascade Mountains with a population between 530,000 and 1,500,000 operates a regional 911 emergency communication system that transfers emergency calls to a municipal 911 emergency communication system operator in a city with a population of over 50,000, the county must transfer a portion of the revenues it receives from the 911 excise tax to the local government operating that municipal 911 emergency communication system. The amount transferred is calculated as follows. The amount of the tax revenue received by the county for the quarter divided by the total number of 911 emergency calls received by the regional 911 emergency community system for the quarter, multiplied by the number of 911 emergency calls transferred from the regional 911 emergency communication system to the municipal 911 emergency communication system operator, which is then multiplied by 80%. This amount must be transferred quarterly by the county operating the regional 911 emergency communication system to the local government operating the municipal 911 emergency communication system. The effective date of the bill is January 1st, 2025, and there is a fiscal note available. The bill does not impact the state revenues, but the local fiscal note indicates a decrease in the county 911 tax revenues and an increase in a municipal 911 revenue, but that amount would be indeterminate since it's unknown how many calls would be transferred. There may also be some administrative costs for the county to track the call transfers and to calculate and transfer the revenues to the cities. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for staff? Seeing none, Representative Ormsby. Welcome to House Finance. Excited to hear about your good bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Chair Bird, Ranking Member Orcutt, and esteemed members of the Finance Committee. Thank you for your work, and to Ms. Taylor for the drafting and explanation. My name is Timm Ormsby. I represent the hardworking folks of the 3rd Legislative District in Spokane. This is a Spokane-centric bill, both city and county. And on behalf of those hardworking folks, I want to make sure that they get what they pay for, and they currently are not. And so the county does all the fire dispatch for the Emergency Communication Center, does the fire dispatch for the entire county, but not for the city's police dispatch. Those are longer calls that take more discernment from the dispatchers to understand and dispatch proper resources to that call. And the city is currently paying the county, who is not providing the county emergency communications, paying the entire freight, but not receiving police dispatch services. They are doing it on their own. And this is to right-size the distribution to make sure that the city is getting the resources that the taxpayers of the city are paying and getting some value out of it. I'd be happy to answer any questions I'm able to answer.
Thank you so much. Representative Jacobson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for bringing this bill. Aren't you glad you didn't have to recite the formula that she used to get the allocation?
Yeah, that was a very
Lovely.
good piece of drafting by your staff. Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks,
thank
Tracy.
you. But my question is, why Why not for the whole state? Thank you.
This was a local government bill last year, and
Yeah.
that was what happened there, and I may just continue to do that.
And just to provide some clarification, Representative Jacobson, you were there with me when this happened. But no, most of those, a lot of other counties use interlocal agreements, and Spokane has decided to ask this august body to adjudicate said dispute.
That's the long and the short of it, and thank you for taking the time to do that.
The
Thank you, Madam
nicest
Chair, for
words.
remembering that for me. Thank you.
No problem. Representative Chase.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it seemed like this started out as a county entity, the emergency 9/11 entity, and but it split off and became like a city entity. Part of it did.
I don't know that there was a split. I don't know that the city was ever ever came to an interlocal agreement on this. Fire recently, within the last 3 years, I'm not sure the date, became part of the dispatch system for the Spokane Regional Emergency Communications, but the police never were.
Yeah, the fire did, though.
Fire did. I don't believe police was ever.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Any further questions from committee for our sponsor? Thank you so much, Representative Ormsby, for your good little bill. I am just going to keep things spicy and suspend the hearing on House Bill 1258. We're going to 1210. I'll reopen the hearing on HB 1258. Vice Chair Street.
We will start in-person testimony with Administrator Alex Scott, Chief Justice Oberg, and Jim Timm. They'll be followed by Paul Dillon, who's in person, and then Cody Rohrbach and Frank Soto, who are online.
Good afternoon, Chair Berg, Ranking Member Orcutt, members of the committee. Thank you very much for having a hearing on this bill. I'm here today on behalf of Mayor Lisa Brown and the citizens of Spokane to testify in support of House Bill 1258.
Can you state your name? Sorry.
Yes, sorry, Alexander Scott, City Administrator. So this bill is about fairness and public safety, ultimately. This will complete the circle on fair apportionment of the two emergency communications funding streams that we rely on in our community. The legislature has already seen fit to apportion the sales tax portion, and this would do that for the 911 excise tax as well. We have been unable to do an interlocal agreement with the county in large part because the county set up a public development authority that is SHREC, the Spokane Regional Emergency Communications Center, and which is run by a board that contains no elected officials except for the Spokane County Sheriff, and where the city is underrepresented, whether you look at population or call volume or any number of metrics. The city has an underrepresented voice there. That board has seen fit to amass over $30 million in reserves and still charges jurisdictions exorbitant user fees on top of the dedicated funding streams they have. Mayor Brown has led the city's negotiation team, and we have tried hard to come to a solution where we could fully enter SHREC and bring SPD in, but unfortunately about 2 weeks ago the SHREC board voted to eject the city entirely from SHREC. So all the more reason that if we are going to have to stand up a primary PSAP, we need a fair apportionment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Chief Oberg.
Thank you, honorable members of the committee. My name is Julie Oberg, and I have the honor of serving as the fire chief for the City of Spokane Fire Department. I'm here today to express my strong support for House Bill 1258, a piece of legislation that I believe will have a profound impact on the safety and well-being of our community. House Bill 1258 would provide funding for municipalities operating a municipal 911 emergency communication system. As a fire chief, I have witnessed firsthand the critical importance of a well-functioning 911 system. Our firefighters and our emergency responders rely on timely and accurate information to respond to emergencies effectively. While a well-functioning regional model is preferable, many municipalities across the country operate under multiple PSAPs successfully for a variety of reasons specific to the individual community. The Spokane Fire Department has been given a deadline of January 1, 2026 to separate from the current regional system known as SHREC. House Bill 1258 ensures that our municipal 911 system will have the necessary resources to maintain and improve its operations, which directly translates to better service and improved safety outcomes for our community. The funding provided by House Bill 1258 will provide a framework for the communication infrastructure that we are losing by being removed from the regional communication system. It'll provide training for dispatchers and implement technologies that can save lives. Ultimately, this bill is not about funding, it is about investing in the safety and well-being of our citizens. House Bill 1258 came as the city faced a deadline to open the city PSAP by January 1, 2026. The passage of the bill is a critical component of ensuring that our emergency response system remains robust and capable of meeting the needs of our growing community. In closing, House Bill 1258 represents an investment in the safety and well-being of both our firefighters and the citizens we serve. It provides us with the necessary tools and resources to perform our jobs at the highest level, ensuring we continue to respond quickly, efficiently, and effectively to emergencies of all kind. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you, Chair Berg. My name is James Teakin. I am a member of AFSCME Local 270 Spokane City Employees, Vice President of the Washington State Council of County and City Employees, Council 2, and the President of the Spokane Regional Labor Council. Today I'm representing 30,000 members across the state of Washington. Our employees over there, not our employees, our members, our working family members over there at Dispatch have been providing this service to the police of Spokane for the past 40 years. 40 years, they've been the voice of safety, the point of contact for the officers in the city of Spokane, and continue to do so. We are also the only emergency outfit where a officer, an actual sworn commissioned officer, is part of the management staff and controls our center. So when they want to make changes, when they want to do things that need to be done for officer safety, they happen immediately. They don't wait for a board meeting or a chair or someone else to decide what's going to happen. The tax that funds the system that come from the citizens of the city of Spokane, all of their cell phone bills, right now it is going to a system that answers the phone and transfers the calls to our professional dispatchers. Mind you, they're the dispatchers that have 40 years of dispatch control. They are the experts on our police dispatch. The SHREC has finally managed to secure their own building. They have been in a city building for the past 6 years as they've gotten things together in their house in order. They do want to choose to try to dictate how the city is going to go about controlling their dispatch while not listening to those of us that have 40 years of experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Street.
We'll now move to remote testimony from Council Member Paul Dillon, and then come back to in-person testimony with Cody Rohrbeck and Frank Soto. So if y'all two want to come up and get settled, that would be great.
Go ahead, Paul.
All right. Thank you so much, Chair Berg. It's an honor to be here today. My name is Paul Dillon, and I represent District 2 on Spokane City Council. Previously, I was the Public Safety Chair, and I'm now chairing Finance Administration. And in that capacity, I'm voicing my strong support for HB 1258. First, I want to address some misinformation you're going to hear about this bill. This is not just Olympia deciding how Spokane County tax dollars work. This would not force the county to subsidize the city. This bill is not taxation without representation. In fact, taxation without representation describes the current SHREC board, which has one elected representative on it, the sheriff. The reality is this bill would allow the city to get a portion of the 911 excise tax revenue in which they are due, given that we are nearly 60% of the call volume, and ensure that our police and fire departments' ability to respond quickly and effectively when it matters most. And I was part of the negotiation team trying to find a path forward with SHREC, and while discussing governance and finances, the board voted us out. So it can feel like we don't exist within Spokane County, yet we represent the highest calls for service. Residents deserve to feel and be safe. Let's not let politics get in the way of public safety. This bill does create fairness for how 911 dispatch services are funded, and I'd like to thank Representative Ormsby and Hill for bringing this forward for a more equitable and collaborative outcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. If Patrick Birch would also like to come up and join this panel, that would be great as well. Sorry, I missed up a couple of those things, but whichever three of you would like to start, please feel free to go ahead.
I think that'd be great. We'll just get all up and be a little more efficient. So, good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members, Cody Rohrbach, Fire Chief, Spokane County Fire District 3, and the Board Chair for Spokane Regional Emergency Communications. I'm here on behalf of both those agencies and our 20 law and fire agencies that exist outside the city of Spokane. And so I want to go on record and say I fully support the stated intent, but I believe this bill will not achieve the stated intent for two fundamental reasons that I want to focus on today. So one, you hear that Spokane has been removed to start their own PSAP or primary PSAP, public safety answering point. This bill is not written from that context. If you read this bill, it's stated based on a call transfer. And so why is that important? That refers to the current circumstances today. As of right now, 100% of 911 calls originating in Spokane County go to our regional dispatch center. As it pertains to City of Spokane, that call, start to finish, is managed entirely by our Spokane Regional Center. For Spokane Police Department, that call is packaged, entered into CAD, and then transferred. That's the context of this bill. So one, when we look at actual services rendered to the city from 2020 to 2024 versus the revenues they generated from 911, they generated $11 million and received over $14 million in service. So that's challenge one. This would be a subsidy on top of that, apportionment that would exist on top of that. Second,
If you could just, wrap it up, sorry. Do you want to jump in?
Madam Chair, I would like to defer my time to...
That sounds wonderful.
Is that okay?
Keep going.
Thank you very much. Okay, so second issue is really the methodology for apportionment. We see that this is based on call volume and not on population. This would disproportionately further subsidize the city of Spokane at the expense of the rest of our community. So that's why 20 agencies are not in favor of this. And again, this is not as their own primary dispatch center. This is what's currently referred as the status quo. Spokane operating as a secondary PSAP in the county with 100% of the calls coming into the regional center. There's a cost for those services. Again, we have gone on record to say we fully support the fair apportionment of those tax dollars to the city of Spokane. It's the disproportionate subsidization that this bill will introduce that we are opposed to. And I also want to let this group know that the catalyst for the board taking action to recommend that we discontinue discussions with City of Spokane was related to this House bill. So this House bill was the very reason for the fragmentation and the ending of discussions within the county. So thank you for the opportunity to provide comment.
Thank you so much. I think we have one question. Representative Street.
Could you explain why population is a better way to apportion than call volume? Because I would assume that population was a indicator of call volume. So if we had that call volume, I would have assumed that would have been the better one.
Exactly, and that's a great question, because if you ever looked at your phone bill, you may have seen that tax in there for 911. It's a small number, right? But it's been relatively static across the years, but that's tied to your phone bill. So that is tied more closely to population. And so what we have here is an instance where we have one jurisdiction that has disproportionately higher call volume. And so what I like to point out is that when our 21 agencies, 22 to include the city of Spokane, when we were all in the regional system, before we had to look at actually apportioning these dollars out, the jurisdictions that had the disproportionately higher call volume were the ones who stood to benefit the most because they were allowed to utilize those funds more than other agencies, because the basic metric of work at a emergency communications center is an emergency call coming in. And so what we saw is this disproportionately higher call volume as compared to population in the city of Spokane. And so they were able to utilize those dollars more so than others. So when we looked at actual revenue generation compared to the services that they received from 2020 to 2024, even operating as a secondary PSAP, they received more than $3 million as compared to what they generated.
Okay, thank you for that. Representative Chase.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Cody, as I recall, when this first started, the Emergency 9/11 Center, it was like a public vote for 10 years. And then it was renewed again for 10 years by a public vote. But I think into the third year, and I think that's when Spokane departed from, the city of Spokane departed from the thing. And what was that? What was the reason for that?
So I think you're referring to probably House Bill 1155 related to 1/10 of 1% and apportionment there. But there has been kind of what we call currently the hybrid model in Spokane County for emergency services. So what's the hybrid model? Well, what we have in November of 2022, Spokane Fire Department joined the regional center, and at that time, Spokane Police Department stayed out. And so we've been in and out since the creation of the regional center in 2018. So it's been 3 administrations, 6 years in the eyes of the SREC board. And so there's been, and on behalf of the city of Spokane, there's been three stated areas of disagreement, or at least 2 that we haven't been able to agree on. One, which was pointed out, was governance. Again, understand the perspectives from city of Spokane. They'd like to see elected officials on that panel. At the time of SREC's creation in 2018, city of Spokane was at the table with consultant based on best practices across the nation. It was decided at that time not to have a board of elected officials, but to have a board of public safety representatives. The sheriff was indeed, they're accurate, the one exception because he's elected solely for public safety. The other area I'd point out is it's not individual agencies on that board. I do not sit on the board as the fire chief for Spokane County Fire District 3. I sit on behalf of the EMS Council for all of Spokane County. So the board's not built over individual agencies. So that's fundamental difference one,
So
what
and I'm
I've
gonna,
been able to agree on.
I'm just gonna set some.
You have a follow-up question?
Maybe. So here's what we're gonna do. This bill is here based on tax policy and based on how should we do this tax sharing situation minus a local agreement. I have heard a lot about the intricacies of boards and who sits on what board, et cetera. And I know our local government chair is just super bummed she's not here. So because of that, if you have a follow-up based on the tax policy within this bill, 100%, let's go there. If it is on the local government underpinning conversations that folks are having east of the mountains in the city and county of Spokane, that might be a different forum.
I agree. Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay, so no, I was just saying if it's not tax policy, let's just like hit pause because we have a lot of testifiers and I want to get through them. I want to make sure we do that, but we're probably going to have to deplete the clock a little bit. So I'm going to let, you've got about 90 seconds between the next 2 testifiers and then we're going to start. What's that? One more testifier. Yes, so one more testifier on this panel. Yes, which I'm going to go ahead and, but I'm just saying the gentleman in between still has 30 seconds. I was keeping that good a track. So I'm just simply, so between the 2 of you, you've got 2 minutes. I'm just going to run this clock and let y'all figure that out. But please, if you could just state your name regardless so that we have that in our testifier.
You bet, Madam Chair. Thank you. My name is Patrick Birch, and I'm a fire commissioner with the Spokane Valley Fire Department.
Perfect. And then you guys want to begin your test, and then you can also state your name and figure out the testimony situation?
Yeah, I will go ahead and again defer to Chief Soto.
Then go for it. Y'all can arm wrestle, do what you want, but state your name. Okay.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the Finance Committee and Chair Berg. My name is Frank Soto Jr., and I'm the fire chief of the Spokane Valley Fire Department. If you don't know where that is, we are in a county located east of the crest of the Cascade Mountains with a population between 530,000 and 1.5 million people, receiving tax revenues for a regional 911 emergency system. Yes, I see some of the smirks on your faces. It's ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous. But I press on, and I ask that you as well. The Spokane Valley Fire Department represents 3 cities: the City of Spokane Valley, the City of Liberty Lake, and the City of Millwood. We also serve unincorporated portions of Spokane counties. We're serving 145,000 plus people, and we are all adamantly opposed to House Bill 1258. As you know, this was provided to you all last year, and it was initially for the entire state. And you all saw the ridiculousness of it, and it was lowered all the way to 1 city. That's my problem, is we have a group of elected officials that represent 1 city, and they're changing a law for 1 city. It's, to me, it's completely just inexcusable. I think I'll just let it go, and I will pass the rest of my time to Commissioner Birch.
Thank you. I guess with the time we have remaining, my biggest concern here I agree with everything that's been stated so far, is just the narrow scope of the bill to 1 city when it only applies to the City of Spokane, and no other city in the state is facing this targeting approach. It seems to be, really kind of, as Chief Soto was trying to elaborate, kind of strange for the state government to be that focused in this bill. And so I would just urge your opposition to this moving forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for the panel, and just thank you for your patience and all the good stuff. So, Vice Chair Street.
We'll now move to online testimony from Brian Brown, Judy Koff, and Nathan Mulkey. They will be followed by Greg Anderson, who I believe is in person. So if you'd like to come on up, please proceed, Brian. Looks like we do not have Brian. Do we have Judy? We do not have Judy. Do we have Nathan? Great. We're going to go to Greg Anderson and find some more people who are online.
Greg, it's your lucky day. Look at that.
I was on there twice. Do I get to speak twice?
Oh, wow. You know what? There should be a bill for that.
The reason I ask, I kind of represent a couple of groups, but maybe you give me an extra 30 seconds.
No worries. If you want to have a seat, that'd be the best way to get you on camera. And scoot on up and let us know your name, who you're representing, and you can go from there.
Okay, my name is Greg Anderson. I represent Spokane County Fire District 9. I've spent 37 and a half years working for the fire district. I retired recently, and I was the last 7 years as operations chief. I want to talk really a little bit on a single dispatch center. I'm kind of in disagreement with the city chief based on the fact that Spokane County, and when I say that, it includes the city of Spokane, we have a very robust mutual aid agreement. Which includes borderless response. What is borderless response? It sends the closest resource no matter the jurisdiction. Doesn't matter if it's cardiac arrest, structure fire, whatever. The closest resources are dispatched. It's all controlled by a single dispatch, not going through 2 different areas. There's no delay in coordination between 2 centers, and the quickest units are responding. We also have a daily area coordinator. It rotates between chief officers for the various departments in the Spokane County and city. Currently, they respond to a single dispatch center when there's an emerging major incident within the city-county, multiple alarm fires, natural disasters, mass casualties. They help coordinate move-up and backfill of vacated stations for the county and city, and they make sure additional resources available for the incident in progress and not try to coordinate between 2 groups. In 2023, we had 2 single fires in Spokane County that burned over 21,000 acres, destroying 300 primary homes. Without a coordinated effort and a single point of ordering, the devastation would have been much more. In closing, I would just like to say that I believe that breaking this apart is not the best interest of the residents of our area. So,
Great. Thank you so much. Vice Chair Street.
We will move to Matthew Vinci and John Garuso, who are online. They'll be followed by Ben James and Jason Fritz.
Go ahead, Matthew.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Berg, Vice Chair Street, and members of the committee. My name is Matthew Vinci, and I proudly serve as the Fire Chief of Spokane County Fire District 9. Spokane County Fire District 9, as you just heard from one of our commissioners, stands united with our 20 regional emergency service partners in opposition of House Bill 1258. Fire District 9 is advocating for a fair distribution of funding for Spokane Regional Emergency Communications. If this bill were to pass, it would lead to a forced increase in user fees for the fire and law enforcement agencies that are collaborative partners of SHREC. This isn't just about dollars, it's about utilizing a centrally located collaborative communication system to save lives and property. It's been well established in the Spokane region, across Washington, and throughout the nation that our regionalized emergency communication system for all entities provides the most effective and cost-efficient emergency dispatch process for our residents, businesses, and visitors. The SHREC Coordinated Communications Network benefits all citizens and businesses of the Spokane region, and very importantly, as Chief Oberg mentioned, provides the highest level of safety to our fire, EMS, and law enforcement partners. It's been well documented and recommended in recommendations that in far too many after-action reports of local, regional, and national disasters, that emergency responders have been hindered by a critical resource, the lack of centralized dispatch and a modern interoperable communication system. This is what SHREC provides to our community. Central to our mission of delivering the highest level of public safety services to our communities.
If you could just wrap it just a little bit, like maybe another sentence or so.
I'll read as quick as I can. I'll jump because a little bit of it is redundant here. Interoperable communications and regional dispatch are not just a nice to have, they're a must have. I'm personally aware of fire and EMS medical service professionals across the nation that would love to have a communication system like SHREC. And I'll close with, quite frankly, it's archaic and will take us steps back in the Spokane region if this bill passes. It will create a segue to a bifurcated emergency.
Thank you so much. John, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, John. Sorry. Okay, now go ahead.
I got it. Sorry about that. Thank you, Chair Berg, Vice Chair Street, and members of this committee. You're going to hear a lot of the same stuff. I really want to just really strongly oppose this House bill as a fire commissioner of Spokane Valley, as Chief Soto stated. The amount of folks that we represent, if this passes, we will see parts of where we'll have to make cuts. And I don't think people are talking about that. This has been as fairly distributed as possible through our SHREC system, and it works so well that that the system gets a rating that helps people with their homeowners insurance. Yet the city of Spokane deems that it's not working very well and refused to join until they took control of the board. We got to look at realistically when this first started that they didn't want elected officials other than the sheriff to be on this board. And I'm an elected official. And I can tell you, not jokingly, but we would screw it up. We got to leave it to the professionals. When 20 agencies get together on a day's notice to oppose something that is hit over the head with them so fast and furious, they understand this is going to affect their community. It's going to cut things like prevention, and prevention saves lives. I just want to ask that this committee not move this bill forward. And like you said, Chair Berg, and I loved when you say this bill is really about blank. This bill is really about one city's financial shortfall to use the rest of the county money to pay for it. Thank you.
Okay, wait, did I say that? What were you quoting? I was like, wait a minute. It was that from the previous hearing?
I agreed with when you said on one of the bills how you just went right to it and you said, this bill is really about this. I think we need to start talking about what this bill is really about.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Street. And just for the record, I did not testify on this bill. So to make sure we understand that. So thank you so much for that. And Vice Chair Street.
We will continue with online testimony with Ben James and Jason Fritz. They will be followed by Reagan Hayes, Brianne Kostekli, and Scott Shergy.
Go ahead, Ben.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Finance Committee and Madam Chair. Thank you for this time. I will do my best to keep this short and to the point. You wanted us to make this a point of tax policy, and to address it from that angle, it's clearly both targeting and unreasonable. It's seen in the public response with 20 chiefs coming together from multiple organizations, pointing to both history and the past lives of both bills and recent communications with the City of Spokane that demonstrate that this is not a good policy. If you can't apply it to the entire state, and so you slide it into discussions when you're in the midst of attempting to combine boards, that doesn't seem like good policy or good conduct. This seems really unreasonable, and I think that it needs to be opposed because the tax ramifications are significant, and ultimately when you're speaking about public safety, those ramifications wind up costing not just jobs, not just locations, but they cost lives. That's why I stand in firm opposition, and I please ask you to do the same.
Thank you so much. Jason, you can begin.
Thank you, Chair Berg, Ranking Member Orcutt, and members of the committee. My name is Jason Fritz, and I'm the president of the Washington chapter of APCA and NENA, also known as the 911 Association. On behalf of our membership, I testify before you today in opposition of House Bill 1258. This bill seeks state legislation to address a local issue without regard to statewide impacts. The current 911 RCWs allow for an excise tax to be collected to fund 911 emergency communication systems throughout the state on a multi-county or county-wide basis. This revenue stream is used to procure, fund, and manage the statewide 911 network and support counties in delivering 911 to a designated public safety answering point. The state excise tax has not increased in over 10 years, and yet the cost of funding the system has steadily risen. 911 in Washington State has made great strides over the last several years to improve efficiencies and cost savings through regionalization and equipment consolidation efforts. Instead of duplicating services and redistributing money from an underfunded resource, we must expand and look for new revenue streams. We need to use the 911 excise tax to invest in new technologies to improve interoperability and to improve support for our PSTs. Washington APCO-NENA is taking opposition to this bill as we feel the issue should be handled at the local level and not through state legislation. There are many instances across our state where agreements have been created at the local level to work through funding and operational issues, and the chapter feels that is where the issue should be handled. Creating this legislation to handle a local problem only opens the doors for more entities to follow suit and strain an already underfunded revenue source. Washington APCO-NENA strongly opposes House Bill 1258 and asks that you not move this out of committee. Thank you for hearing my testimony.
Thank you so much. Vice Chair Street.
Reagan, please continue.
Thank you. My name is Reagan Hayes, and I have worked in 911 for 12 years. I started my 911 career with Spokane County 911 before regionalization and have moved to SHREC when that developed. Over the last 5 years, SHREC's regional model has transformed and improved public safety for the citizens of Spokane County, and I am proud to have been part of that transformation. I would like to provide you with a simple example. A hysterical mom calls 911 saying that her baby isn't breathing. With Spokane County 911, I would have asked her address, her phone number, and then transferred her to another dispatcher. That dispatcher would then again verify the address and phone number before they dispatched medics and provided life-saving instructions. This process took anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes or more. In that same scenario, when SHREC's regional model, I get the caller's address and phone number, and I'm immediately giving life-saving instructions. At the same time, my dispatchers are sending an emergency medical response. This process takes under 1 minute. And in a situation where every second counts, this is huge. This is just one example of the many benefits of regionalization. Recently, it has come clear that the City of Spokane does not want to be a true partner in the regionalization process, but instead wants to take a disproportionate amount of money from the system. I am here today as a 911 professional and a citizen of the City of Spokane to oppose the House Bill 1258, as this bill unfairly redirects Spokane County tax dollars to solve the city's financial problems. As a 911 professional, I am stunned that the City of Spokane is choosing to opt out of the regional model. As a citizen that lives in the City of Spokane, I'm angry and frustrated that my elected officials have not been good stewards of my tax dollars and instead seek to take money and resources from other areas.
Thank you. So
I just urge you to reject House Bill 1258.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Street.
Thank you.
Brianne, if you'd like to continue.
Good afternoon. My name is Brianne Kostecki, and I'm here to express opposition to House Bill 1258. I am the public records
Brianne,
specialist.
if you could turn on your camera, that. Oh, okay. Never mind.
I don't have
No,
one.
I just got the word. Keep going, Brianne.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I'm the public records specialist for Spokane Regional Emergency Communication. This legislation unfairly reallocates Spokane County tax dollars to address the City of Spokane's financial and public safety challenges at the direct expense of the broader community. The 911 excise tax was designed to support all of Spokane County residents, yet this bill would shift funding disproportionately to the City of Spokane, prioritizing call volume over population. Spokane makes up 42% of this county's population, but accounts for 55% of the 911 call volume, leaving 20 other fire and law enforcement agencies with fewer resources to protect the rest of our community. The reality is that the 911 excise tax already covers only about 60% of what was intended to fund, specifically maintaining and upgrading our critical phone system and the initial answer of each emergency call. Spokane County simply cannot afford to divert additional resources to a single jurisdiction at the expense of the entire regional system. House Bill 1258 threatens the stability of our regional emergency communication system, creating a burden for thousands of people outside city limits. Instead of working together to strengthen our regional services, House Bill 1258 divides rather than unites. The City of Spokane must pay its fair share and work within the system that has served our region so well. I urge you to reject House Bill 1258 and protect the integrity of our regional emergency communication system. Our first responders and every Spokane County resident deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianne. We will conclude testimony with Scott Sergi. Please continue.
Hello, I am here to speak against House Bill 1258. House Bill 1258 is a very narrowly written bill that only affects one city east of the Cascade Mountains, and that's the City of Spokane. I find the timing of this bill suspect, as it tells me that Mayor Brown and the City of Spokane never had any intentions of fully joining the Spokane Regional Emergency Communication Dispatching System. With their refusal to fully join SHREC, it's clear that they are willing to fleece the Spokane County taxpayers for more tax dollars just to start up their own emergency dispatching system. Spokane has been asked for 5 years to join the SHREC dispatching model, yet they choose to throw up roadblocks and ask for delays and extensions to the detriment of the greater good. 20 out of 22 fire departments and law enforcement agencies are a part of the dispatching system. The lone holdouts are the Spokane Police Department and the Spokane Fire Department. Actions have consequences, and in this instant, their inaction to join SHREC will cause an undue burden on the residents of Spokane County and will potentially raise taxes unfairly. Again, I am opposed to House Bill 1258.
Thank you so much. And that concludes the testimony on House Bill 1258. I will be closing the testimony, or closing House Bill 1258.